Kia ora. Call Stuart Nash.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker. I stand in support of the Hawke's Bay Regional Planning Committee Bill. First of all, Mr Speaker, let me offer an apology to Mr Finlayson. I didn't mean to be churlish. I have been very appreciative of his inclusive way that he has handled this. Whenever I have asked him for a briefing on what is happening in Hawke's Bay, he has always been very amenable to that. So thank you, Mr Finlayson, for your cooperation in making this sort of thing happen. I just want to mention to the chair of the committee who's just spoken, it's semantics, but it's actually Hawke's Bay, not the Hawke's Bay. We don't talk about the Wellington or the Auckland. We talk about Auckland or Wellington, so it is actually Hawke's Bay, not the Wanganui. The other thing I'd like to say also is it's great to be speaking with Meka Whaitiri. Meka and I are backing the Bay in a way that no other political party has, and I just think that we have a great team. We have a cross-section of everything, and we are working in a way that no other party has for a long time. And I'll tell you what, the people of Hawke's Bay really appreciate it. And it is, I've been back in the Bay now for, I suppose, 7 or 8 years, and for the first time in a long time, the Labor Party in the Bay is absolutely united in the way we do things, and it's really good to see actually, because there is not a tuki response, a Napier response, a Ikaroa response. We all working together and coming together. So I suspect it won't be long, Mr Speaker, before once again Hawke's Bay is held by Labor. Mr Foss knows this. I suspect that's why he's going to retire. Mr Speaker, this is a good bill. The purpose of the bill is it provides purpose to the Hawke's Bay Regional Planning Committee to oversee the development of the review of regional documents under the Resource Management Act. But Mr Speaker, there is a tension in local government around how to incorporate the provisions in the Treaty of Waitangi, how to incorporate the provisions in the Local Government Act to give them effect and actually in a meaningful way. Let me give you an example, Mr Speaker. As we know, Hawke's Bay is going through quite a destructive debate on amalgamation. At the moment, it won't go ahead, but that's okay. But one of the things that the Local Government Commission has tried to do is to say, how do we give effect to the Local Government Act? And so what they have done, apart from an amalgamated council, this is their proposal, Alison knows it won't go ahead, they've included a Maori statutory board and a natural resources board in a sort of a tack-on to say this is how we address the issues. But because amalgamation won't go ahead, this is what makes this bill so important. Because there is that tension between, okay, how do we incorporate what needs to be done under the Resource Management Act, but also give local iwi a say in the management of natural resources. And let's leave the amalgamation debate aside. There are a couple of other big debates going on in the Bay at the moment, which are really important and will affect the future, the economic future, the hip pocket of rates, and all this sort of carry on, and the level of consultation that has gone on is not sufficient, in my view, to come up with a robust result. The first one is bottled water. Hawke's Bay sits on 2 massive aquifers. And at the moment, what has happened is there are 2 companies that have been given resource consent to draw water from these aquifers. And it is some of the best water. It is actually the best water in the country. It's been tested. That's just not me being a Napier boy saying that. It has been tested. But they are drawing this water out and they're going to sell it. Now, the issue I have around this, Mr Speaker, is sure, they've gone through the resource consent process, but they're not paying a cent for the water they take out and sell. And there is something wrong with that when people can use a natural resource to make economic gain and not pay for that. And this is an issue that is resonating around the Bay. It's, I've brought it up a lot, and people are shaking their head and saying things need to change. The other thing, of course, is the Ruataniwha Water Storage Scheme, known as the Dam. There's going to be a cost to the government, to the local council, and also to landholders if this goes ahead of around $500 million. And there is a lot of debate and contention about whether this should go ahead, but in my opinion, Mr Speaker, I don't think that the voice of Kahanunu has been heard in a way that gives it meaning, because I do know, speaking to the Kahanunu representatives, that they have a level of disquiet about this. But at the moment, they have been what is called consulted in a way that I don't think gives true effect to their purpose, and certainly not to kaitiakianga. The thing also about this, Mr Speaker, is let's hope it is a model for co-governance going forward. Let's hope it is a model that does give true effect to the partnership that we must move together in this country if we're going to get things done. Because the last thing we want in any area, and certainly in resource management governance, is continued, infighting and acrimony. And we've got that in the Bay at the moment over a couple of these projects I'm talking about. It is not healthy and it does not breed trust in the way the process is being undertaken. But Meka Whaitiri is right. We can legislate for this. It will pass through the House because we all support it. But the thing about this is how it is actually operationalised. If it is not given effect, if it does not have the mandate to actually give effect to the legislation, then it will not be successful. I can tell you, Mr Chair, and I can tell the people in the House that Meka Whaitiri and I will certainly be backing it, and we will absolutely make sure within our powers that it does have the mandate to have a strong voice around the table when it comes to these resource planning and management issues. So we do support this, and let's onwards and upwards and into effective co-governance of the resources of the Bay. Thank you very much.
Kia ora. I call Joanne Hayes.